Hey guys, good morning. Happy Monday. Landon Rich, host of the Call Center Crew podcast, bringing you this week's Metric Monday. Today I'm going to be wrapping up the third part of a 3-video series talking about quality inside of the contact center. A couple weeks ago we talked about CSAT, how it's calculated, the different softwares and how that rolls into the call center, as well as last week we talked about NPS, how it's calculated, why you would use NPS over CSAT, so on and so forth. Today, we're going to make it down even easier, just quality percentage, right? So if you're like me and the most other BPOs, we're very, very tight on our cost, right? Because our margins typically are lower than normal business just because that's the way the BPOs are, right? Call centers in general, it's a necessity, but it's not necessarily a moneymaker, right? So, going back bootstrapped, right? If you don't have the luxury of having a software that spits out an NPS score or does automated surveys or anything like that, that's fine, right? You very easily can create an Excel spreadsheet, number it 1 through 10, follow the call flow, and put together a quality monitoring score. And then just start monitoring away and start giving your agents feedback on an overall quality score, so a percentage based out of 100. And then obviously that's how you gauge how the agents are treating and acting towards the customers. So some best practices that I have that I'll share. Again, these are my opinions. I think this is what I've seen to be successful. But again, there's many other ways that have been successful and will be successful. So for me, you need to have two checks and balances, right? You have a quality monitoring team that is removed from the calling floor, removed from the agents themselves, and just churning through calls and listening, right? Spot checking calls, listening to monitoring forms, or listening to calls, filling out monitoring forms, and then giving that feedback to the supervisor of those agents, and the supervisor then goes in and does the coaching, right? That way it's unbiased. They're just churning through a bunch of calls. They can get through a bunch of calls, and they're not being, the QA team isn't being dragged down by other admin tasks, stuff like that. Like a supervisor, I think it's still important that a supervisor does spot checks, right? For me, I try, as a supervisor over a team, I tried to listen at least 1 per hour of my agent's calls, at least a spot check to do some side-by-side coaching. But obviously that wasn't my main focus, right? And as a supervisor, I was driving performance, whatever it was, average handle time, sales, whatever it was. And so I think number one, you need to have a separate team. It can be 1 person, it can be 10 people, but a separate team that's unbiased, listening, churning through phone calls. Then 2, you need to have your supervisor. Your supervisor has to be listening to phone calls of the agents. They need to be, they cannot be removed and think that they're above listening to a phone call, dissecting a phone call, and if necessary, hop on the phones and show the agent how it's done. Right? Oh, the agent may say, oh, well, my coach doesn't even know how to take a phone call. My coach couldn't even get 100% on a monitoring form. I would challenge that, and I would expect any of my supervisors to be able to hop on the phone on any given notice, on any call type that their team is handling, and get 100% or dang near 100% on that quality monitoring score, right? That's just that's how I feel they should be approached as a supervisor. And so again, going back, you have a separate team, the coach needs to be doing it, and then the monitoring form itself needs to be in flow or in check with number one, the client, right? So if you're handling outsourced calls, what does the client expect on the phone call, right? In terms of opening, customer validation, number of times rebuttaling, the proper close, proper ending, verbatim messaging, pricing, whatever it is. So the quality score, again, it can be set up on a printed out piece of paper, an Excel spreadsheet, very manual, and you can just go through the call flow, right? Did the agent verify the customer properly? Did the agent rebuttal at least twice? Did the agent use proper verbatim messaging on this credit card processing, whatever it was? Did the agent properly diffuse the hostile situation? Whatever it is, you can go through and customize it to your call types. But I think the quality monitoring form needs to be in line with what the client expectations are and how they want to serve the customers, right? So again, guys, the quality score based out of 100%, very, very easy. Again, you can do this for free based on Excel and a printed out piece of paper, whatever it is. There's absolutely no reason that if you don't have the cash flow to have a big fancy software, NPS, CSAT, stuff like that, it doesn't matter. Start listening to the calls, start finding out how the agents are treating the customers, and get a quality percentage that you can give to the agents on a regular basis. May not be daily if it's manual, but definitely weekly to know where they're pacing, where they're at, and how it's affecting, right? You have to have quality, or in the long run, you're going to get burned. So stay tuned, guys. You can find this obviously callcentercrew.com/metricmonday, as well as on YouTube. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.